Hi, I'm Graham.
And I am Stephanie. Some of you may also know me as Lex. I am not Tannen.
She's not Tannen. I'm from Crystal Street Comics. She's in the strip often. Uh, Tannen has once again taken another holiday.
What
Eh,
does he do that he's
we don't
able?
ask
Oh,
that
okay.
question because we don't want to go to jail.
Okay.
The
All
less we
right.
know, the less we have to testify in court.
Fair enough.
So, Tannen will be back with our thoughts next week, and next week we will cover the thing I'm sure most of you thought we would do this week, which was Game of Thrones. I actually still have 2 episodes to watch, so I'm glad we're not doing that today, quite frankly. But as coincidence would have it, this week was E3, which for me is my little pre-Christmas how much money I'm going to lose event. But it's become a significant event for me the past couple of years, really starting the year Nintendo launched the Wii. I was working for GameStop at the time, and I took it upon myself to watch the entire press conference. I really hadn't done that before. I'd catch snippets,
Yeah.
what they posted online here and there. But I took the time. I watched the whole conference, and that was it was a really cool experience just to sit there and watch the products being pitched. So since then, E3, the press conferences are an event for me. So, and Steph here,
Yeah.
she
I watched pretty much the whole thing with you, I think. I mean, all of them.
you're pretty much forced to anymore. So whatever's on the TV, she's kind of got to watch. So,
I don't know what you're talking about.
so we both
God,
have.
you make it sound like you keep me in the basement here or something.
I do keep you in the basement. Technically, I keep in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
We all stay in the basement.
Yes, I
here.
know. I know. It's a little crowded over at headquarters.
Yeah. Chris Street headquarters can get a little crowded from time to time, but it's okay. It's all right. We like it. Anyways, so I thought that this week for thoughts, we would.
Yeah.
I had originally thought but Steph was willing to join in,
Hey, why
so
not?
so we will discuss the press conferences, and we'll kind of just go in the order we watched them, which was the chronological order they were released. And we'll discuss some highlights and just overall impressions of how much money I will lose this Christmas.
You're gonna lose a lot of money this
I'm
Christmas.
going to lose a lot of money this Christmas. I'm just going to put this out there. Overall, this was a really good E3.
Oh yeah.
Um, Last year's was not as solid, I felt. But this is kind of that year where you knew it was going to be bad. Both the new systems, the PS4 and the Xbox One, have got some time under their legs, and now it's time for the games to start getting really
And
good.
some of those games look so good.
So good. So let's dive right into it. Sunday night kicked off with Bethesda, and I think if you read the reaction on the internet, most people feel Bethesda kind of dominated the show. I don't know if I necessarily agree with dominated. Uh, they did not. I mean, they offered 4 or 5 games, but all of them were great looking games. So I think the problem was that the content of the entire press conference was so good that in the other ones, when they were showing stuff that maybe this person or that person wouldn't care about, Bethesda pretty much cover to cover was rocking out.
Well, yeah, and they had the mobile games, which I mean, there were a lot of the conferences that introduced mobile games this year, but theirs looked really engaging.
I won't lie. I went and downloaded the new Fallout game, and I think that's a good place to start. We'll start with the big one that everybody knew was coming, and that was Fallout 4. Now, of course, we had talked about on Thoughts that they had released the teaser trailer before E3, and they ended Bethesda's conference just really laying out what Fallout 4 is. And it looks gorgeous. That was always my knock on Bethesda games early on, starting with Oblivion and Morrowind. I know Morrowind was like an Xbox game, so to compare it visually anymore, but
that's not fair.
Yeah, but like Oblivion and Fallout 3 and New Vegas, I always felt had very unappealing looking character models.
They could get kind of unappealing looking, but the gameplay was just good enough.
Yeah, the gameplay was great, but I never gotten into those games. And I think it's a visual thing for me, is I need the characters to kind of look a bit better than they did. But the worlds were big, and I understand why the character models were not as good. However, Skyrim changed that. Skyrim's models were beautiful, and now Fallout's models are just ridiculous. And the amount of customization, we are going to lose Tannen in November.
Yeah. No, we're just not going to see him for, God, I don't even know how long. It depends on how many times he decides to play through that.
That is very true. So The other game at the Bethesda conference that really caught me, I mean, again, all their games were really good, was Doom.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started. Doom, 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 Doom.
My only concern with Doom, I am not sure that that was live game footage. There were
Yeah,
parts
like a
of it that
little.
went, is that pre-rendered? Because you had there was, when PlayStation 3 came out and they were showing out, God, was it? God, I can't even remember the game. It might have been Resistance or one of their games like that. They were showing these graphics and they looked amazing, and I remember just being blown away by it. And then the game looked nothing like that.
Well, but aren't they not allowed to do that
Oh no,
anymore
they can do it all they
Well,
want.
no, because there was a big lawsuit after one of the games that released last year. There was a class action lawsuit, and I don't know if they're technically, I don't know if it would be in their best interest to do things like that anymore.
Best interest, maybe not, but I'm willing to bet some would do it. And there were just parts of that Doom trailer that just looked too good.
You know what? I'm willing to bet that it looks pretty damn good.
I'm gonna stay hopeful. I'm gonna stay hopeful that it does in fact end up looking that good.
Doom for me is a big deal because that was one of the first games that I actually really played on like 6-hour jags.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Much to my mother's dismay, who was like, "Why are you in the basement playing that shooter game?" But I mean, that was
Yeah.
I loved it.
It looks like a real return to form for the game. It looks like it'll play fast like you'd expected Doom to. And then the creator tool that they're putting out, even on the consoles, looks really promising. It looks very
Thank you, Bethesda, for realizing that people want to mod your games.
Yeah, and now that one is announced for both the PS4 and the 360 is going to have that mod tool. We'll get to the other game that's moddable when we get to the next convention, so let's hold off because only one of them mentioned it. So we'll save that, as considering it's also one of the only highlights from that particular show. So again, Bethesda just I mean, there were other games. There was Dishonored, which looks good. I didn't play the first, but I mean, fans of the series seem to think it'll look good. And a couple other games. I mean, again, Bethesda offered not a lot of games, but everything they put out there looked quality. So, hands off to Bethesda. That was a good way to do your show.
That was a hell of a way to open it.
Yeah, that was a good way to get started.
Way to set the bar.
So then the next morning we had the Xbox press conference, which I don't know if it was a hard act to follow or what. It felt boring.
It dragged for me. It really did.
And I wanted to be excited because I do have both a PS4 and an Xbox One, but I definitely play my PS4 considerably more. I don't know if you've ever seen me turn on the Xbox One.
No, I haven't. But again, they made some decent announcements in this press conference. It wasn't that they had bad information to share. It was just that the conference just dragged.
There was a lot of content we didn't care about, and really, there were very few highlights for me. But going back to Bethesda now, the one major thing that they announced is that Fallout 4 on Xbox One can be modded with PC mods.
Which is just insane, but awesome.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, the ability to mod a console game, you're blurring lines now, and that is...
They're lines that need to be blurred, quite honestly.
I mean, it's something, but I mean, and that's where Microsoft has maybe a bit of an advantage with Windows 10 coming out. There's going to be a lot more integration between the Xbox and the PC, and this is the first major announcement. Now, they did not mention that Sony is going to be able to do this at all. I haven't heard it.
Well, I don't know what they would be able to do it with.
I don't know how they would do it. So, if that's the case, that's going to make Fallout 4 console-wise, at least, kind of Xbox One is going to be that one that people want to buy it on. So that's kind of a big victory for them, which they need a big victory because we'll get to Sony later in the big victory that they took from them. There were two more things I wanted to touch on at the Xbox conference, because other than that, it really was kind of bland. The only game at the Xbox, because I'm not a Halo gamer, so I don't really get excited by Halo, but it was cool to see Nathan Fillion.
Oh yeah, it's cool to see Nathan Fillion.
I guess that was kind of cool. I'm not a big Gears of War guy, so I didn't really care about that. So I mean, the problem is Xbox has got a lot of good franchises that I just don't particularly care for, but I'm sure the Xbox fans were very happy to see that. The one game they did announce, though, that I thought I'll probably pay for that is the Rare collection.
Yeah.
And it's 30 of Rare's games, and I mean, it goes all the way up to Viva Pinata, but I mean, it's got Battletoads, and it's got Conker's Bad Fur Day. It's got
Mhm.
these games that I mean, a lot of really great games.
Yeah,
And it's only gonna be like $30, I think they said.
that's worth $30
Yeah.
easy.
So that was like, as far as an individual game, that was the thing that stood out. But I will say, for as unappealing as I found the Xbox conference, they had the only made me yell out loud moment.
Yes, you scared me.
And that was the HoloLens.
Mm-hmm.
Now
That was so cool looking.
yes. Now look, when Kinect was announced, I'm actually a kind of proponent of Kinect. I like the idea of Kinect. I wish it worked a little bit better than it does.
I was a dancer. I wanted Kinect to be a lot better than it was.
So, but I love gimmicky tech, and I kind of hope, we call it gimmicky and then it takes. And the HoloLens and Oculus and Morpheus were all kind of talked about this year, but the HoloLens demo really just stood out. So what they did is they were showing Minecraft running on
Which is a
this
good
HoloLens.
one to have showed it
Yeah.
on.
So they were basically looking at a blank wall, but if you were looking through the HoloLens, you saw that there was a screen there. And I mean, the guy was playing it with the controller and it looked like Minecraft. I thought, oh, cool, you get a digital screen. That's kind of neat. And
But
then
they blew my mind.
Then they changed it and said, okay, now I'm going to put it on the table. So he snaps the game to his table and up arose the Minecraft level, and he could look around it in 3D
and interact
and look into it. And I mean, Tony Stark stretched the stuff out. And if that was real, if that wasn't like a pre-rendered video that they were interacting with or whatever, if that's real, that's bitching.
That's game changing.
And that's the future, I think, of gaming. You know, I think VR will have some problems, because I know that some people have motion, and like, I wear glasses, so I don't know how well Oculus Rift or Morpheus would even fit on my face. But that HoloLens idea is really neat, because you're just augmenting reality around you. And that's got a lot of potential.
And for somebody who likes immersion in gaming, I do, that is gonna be like the next step in immersion.
So I mean, you're a World of Warcraft gamer, so you can only imagine, slip on a HoloLens, and if you could have essentially a meeting with your guild.
Oh God, you would never get me away.
And they're all virtually sitting there. It makes for some potential ideas that could just be crazy. So that was, again, Xbox, I thought was a little lackluster, but you did have the event of all the shows that I cared the most about. Right. So it was the one I cared the least and the most about at the same time.
I think the presentation was just lacking, honestly. Yeah. They had good information. They have good franchises.
It felt like everybody was bored to be there. Like, the audience wasn't applauding. It was really weird.
What it really felt like was everybody was hungover.
And it could be, maybe went on a Bethesda bender the night before, maybe Bethesda went out and bought the drinks for everybody.
Who knows,
so they couldn't get up in time. And it was early too. I guess, I'm missing that concept, that it was 9 o'clock out there when they had this press conference. So I mean, maybe get a little early and get some alcoholic beverages so people get more excited about your products. So
Bloody Marys and Xbox.
So up next were just two software companies. So you got a lot of games focused in these next two. And the first up was the most evil company in all of the world, Electronic Arts. And that's bullshit. They make games. If you don't like the games they make,
don't buy them.
Don't buy them. It's that simple. I saw a letter, and I'm assuming it's a fake letter from Peter Moore, the head of EA, where he's basically just mocking people for, oh yeah, there's Exxon out there that's polluting the oceans, but no, EA, that's the real evil company. Perspective, people, would be nice. Yeah. So EA had a lot of games that I was looking forward to. So I had read some kind of reaction that a lot of people didn't like the EA press conference. EA was maybe one of my top ones from this year. I just thought they had a lot of really good content they packed in, but again, it's games that I particularly care about. Right. And I think that makes a lot of difference in how you react to a presser.
Absolutely.
So we're going to start with Star Wars. We'll end with Star Wars, but let's start with the Old Republic. Announced a new expansion coming in October. It will be free as long as you're a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, I'm sure it probably costs $20-30, something like that, to add it to your free account.
Usually $29.99.
So looked really cool. Got a new cinematic, which I'm glad to see the cinematics come back, because I remember when Tor first came out, the 4 cinematics they had were so good. and then they stopped doing them. And you know, they went free to play, so you were curious, are they going to still make the money to
Well,
keep the game going?
the free to play transition for them was very
It
rocky.
was rocky, but apparently they're making money because they're
Well,
still
yeah.
putting out the content,
Well,
and not only they're putting out the content, but it looks like they're kind of stepping back up to what originally the game was conceptualized as, which was a BioWare game that is multiplayer. And that's huge for me because I would make sweet dirty love to every employee at BioWare if they gave me the chance. So I'm telling you out there right now, if you see me on the streets and you're a BioWare employee, you just tell me and I'll take care of you. I got you.
He's not kidding.
No, I'm not. So I'm a big Tor player, so that was really exciting news for me. And I know that you jumped back on Tor just because of the news. So.
I did actually. I mean, and I was somebody that had been away for a while, and I had been skeptical and kind of holding back just to see what was going to happen and what was, because the content that they were releasing between, expansions and stuff wasn't really engaging me.
Yeah,
and I play MMORPGs for a lot of different reasons, but one of the reasons that I really liked the idea of Star Wars was that it's such a multi-layered universe for somebody who likes to role play, which is something that I like to do. Yes, I'm a nerd. But I mean, I wanted to see more of more of that universe to interact with, and it looks like we're getting that.
Yeah, and so that was good on them. And then they went into the sports. Of course, that's EA's bread and butter. Is that yearly they can put out sports games. You've got Madden and FIFA and NHL and NBA Live, which is still struggling. NBA Live made a good showing this year, but I don't know if it'll be out. 2K is kind of a beast right now in basketball games. So it's going to really take a big shift. And I know you don't know a lot about sports games, so I'll ramble through this. 2K just took over the basketball games back in about 2005. They just started making a better product. And Live has tried to catch up, and it looks good this year, but I still don't know if it's going to be enough to take over from 2K. But Madden looks amazing. FIFA looks really good. NHL looks amazing. This will probably I haven't bought any sports games yet for the current gen systems, and this will probably be the year that I end up picking up. I don't buy them every year, but I like to go every 2 or 3. And this will probably be the year I pick up most of my sports games. And PGA Golf. PGA Golf looked really good and solid. And PGA Golf holds a special place because me and my dad used to play that. So me and Tannen had planned to pick up PGA to relive some Joe moments.
That's good.
Yeah. The game that, and I don't know if you saw this. I think you were kind of up and down. I think you saw the beginning of this trailer, and then you were kind of moving around. Was Unraveled, and that was the one with the little yarn guy in the woods.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how to feel about that.
I'll tell you, the game looks interesting. It's a platformer. It kind of looks something like a Little Big Planet meets Yoshi's Woolly World. It looks interesting, but I'll tell you what caught me about the game was the developer was there introducing it, and he was getting just choked up trying to introduce the game. Like you could tell he had passion for this product he was putting out there, and he was just so excited to be at E3 that it really looked. I mean, it's going to make me take a look at the game just because of the passion I know that's behind the game. And that's something you don't see at E3 a lot. A lot of it comes out very wooden and mechanical. And this guy definitely was like, yeah, this was a labor of love. And so,
he was talking about his kids.
Yeah, because he conceptualized it while he was on vacation. And so he made the little guy out of wire and yarn, and there's pictures of him in the woods. It's really cool. Again, it's a platformer. I don't know if I'll pick it up. It's not one of those ones maybe right away that I would buy, but and especially if it's indie game priced, if it's only $20.
Yeah, maybe.
Then I might.
Yeah.
So they also had like Need for Speed and a couple others that looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And but the night ended the way the night should have ended for E3 or EA with Star Wars Battlefront, which looks crazy good. Crazy good. And I haven't played the Call of Duties in a while. Battlefield I was trying to get into, and I'm kind of burnt out on the military shooter. I'm not going to get burnt out on Battlefront. I'm going to be playing a lot of that particular shooter. It's pew pew lasers is the only difference between it and Battlefield. But I don't care. I don't care. There are X-wings and AT-ATs, and I could be Vader or Luke. And yes, I realized that was Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker in an Empire Strikes Back battle. I don't give two shits. It looked awesome. So, and graphically, again, it's another one that I'm going, is that gameplay? Does
Yeah.
that look? Because it looks so good, but
I was so astounded by how good the games
Yeah.
looked this year.
so Battlefront has got my money. I will probably be pre-ordering that on my next paycheck because I'm a whore. After that came Ubisoft, and I never know what to expect from the Ubisoft people other than Aisha Taylor, and
Yeah.
as usually, she did not disappoint.
Gotta love her.
Lana puts on a good show every year. She gets you hyped for the
I would
games.
do things to that woman that are not legal in several states.
So
Just saying.
So it kicked off with a sequel that I don't know if I thought was going to happen or not, but I am so happy that it is. And that's South Park: The Stick of Truth, or South Park. God, I meant to write down the subtitle, but it's a funny subtitle for the game, and they're shifting from their what was that, Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones theme to they're going to go with their superhero personas. So you've got like the Coon and the Kite and Professor Chaos, and I was so thoroughly surprised by the first game and how well it played. Like, I expected it to be funny, and it was hilarious, but it played good. It was a turn-based RPG that played really good, and so I'm all for this sequel. And Matt and Trey were there, and they seemed very uninterested to be there, but Matt and Trey often seem uninterested to be in places, so I didn't take that as a particularly bad sign, because I'm sure that the game is going to just be
It's gonna dominate.
fantastic.
It's gonna be amazing. And the first one was such a love letter to fans too.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I took away from it, is that I've been watching the show for far too long now, and the things that they put in there for the fans, the Easter eggs they tend to put in there for the fans are just, I mean, they're going to keep that up because they've set a precedent for themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, they had a battle where your dad's balls swung and hit you in the face. That's just how can you not want a sequel to that? So, I mean, it started off with a surprise, and then the next game they showed was this game just called For Honor, and it's knights versus Vikings versus samurais in this game that it looks part.
I have no idea what to make of this game, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a massive battle game, but you're controlling kind of like
your own squad of hitmen or something.
Yeah, it's like it looks like the Warriors series, but it's got a multiplayer versus component to it. So, but graphically, it's gorgeous and it looks brutal, and so I'm kind of interested. I'll wait and see on that one. We saw some shooters from Ubi. You had the upcoming the Tom Clancy games, and whereas a lot of people are looking forward to kind of the big MMO one, which I didn't write down its name, so I'm going to forget it, unfortunately, now. For me, the Ghost Recon Siege looked the most appealing. Now, like I said, I don't play a whole lot of military shooters anymore, but I like the idea of the small 4-on-4 combat. One death, you're dead. You have to pick how to infiltrate a fortified position.
You have to use strategy.
Yeah, and I like that. It's the same reason that games like Left 4 Dead and Evolve appeal to me. I like not just run and gun shooters, and so it looked really good. Siege looked awesome. So that's that looked really good. And then they ended it with the new Ghost Recon game, and it looks like this open world, and you can do missions in several different ways kind of a game. And again, it looked like there's a lot of strategy there, so that could be very appealing too, because it looked like an open world Grand Theft Auto style game, but Ghost Recon.
Yeah.
So again, I'm down for that. So that's where Ubi left us, and again, a good showing from Ubi. I don't know. Ubi's always kind of weird for me. I never know how I'm going to feel about it. And they showed off Assassin's Creed, which, I mean, Unity was. I still have Unity on my Xbox, and I haven't played it just because I've heard it's terrible. So here's hoping Syndicate's better, but who knows?
It looked pretty cool, but then again, Unity looked cool.
Yeah, so it's hard to say. So night 2 ended with Sony. And Sony had a good show. It's weird. Xbox and Sony, I definitely think if you were just looking at Xbox and Sony, Bethesda did have a much better show. But again, there was just a lot of content there.
Yeah.
And so there was bound to be a lot of stuff that you don't end up caring about. They spend a lot of time looking at the indie games. and things like that. So there was a lot of stuff that didn't appeal to me. But let's just go ahead and start with the big one. They broke the internet because they announced the remake of Final Fantasy VII, and people have been wanting the remake of Final Fantasy VII for so damn long that to announce it now, it's just like, holy crap, they're doing it. And it looked like Advent Children level of CGI. I mean,
I got goosebumps, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone on record saying Final Fantasy VII is not my favorite Final Fantasy. I wish they'd given that kind of a treatment to Final Fantasy VI myself. But that being said, I'm going to buy the hell out of that Final Fantasy VII remake. It looked fucking amazing. There's still questions. Is the combat still going to be turn-based, or is it going to be more like Final Fantasy 13's? We don't know yet. Nothing. We got literally just a teaser trailer, but they definitely teased us.
Oh god, the teaser was so good.
So, I mean, Sony kind of almost wins with that. You announce a Final Fantasy VII remake, and you kind of get the win.
Yeah. Well, and then they had another pretty big win as well. But
they did, and that's Call of Duty was at their press conference. Now, again, if you don't watch the press conferences, you might not realize what that means because the game is on both systems, so why couldn't it be at either one of their press conferences? In the past, almost since Modern Warfare 3 or whatever came right after Modern Warfare 3, Xbox has locked down that they get the DLC content first. They are the system you play Call of Duty on.
Right. That flipped.
Activision says you should be doing that on PlayStation now, and they're going to get the content first. That's huge. That's a massive shift because, I mean, even though I'm not a big fan, yearly that game sells.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so there's a lot of people playing that game, and if they've really shifted their allegiance over to Sony, that's a big loss for Microsoft. Now, again, I think they kind of made up for it with that Fallout 4 thing, but Fallout 4, as good as it is not a year in, year out game.
Looking at it, I kind of think that we're going to see the two systems start to differentiate themselves between, you're going to have this PC gamer bleed over into the Microsoft console, and then you're going to have the PlayStation 4, which is probably going to be like a very purist console gamer system. That's just my theory.
That works in concept, but there's one problem. The PlayStation does the graphics better. Like, whenever you see a game coming out, there's always, it's going to be 1080p on the PlayStation, only 900 on the Xbox. And PC gamers are so about that resolution. That's, they get to be, that's where they swing their big PC penises around. It's like, haha, look what my thing can do that your console cannot. That I can't see them taking an allegiance to the Xbox.
No, but there are people that bleed over and that are in the middle, and the modding community being open, on the Xbox in even just a few games, that's huge.
Yeah, that'll be big. It is big. And so, but again, that Call of Duty thing, that's year in, year out money that Sony can be potentially making now. So good on you, Sony, for stealing that. The thing of the night that confirmed I'd be losing a lot of money this Christmas, as I have the past 2 Christmases now, is Infinity 3. And because I'm an impulsive collector, so I buy Giovanni every single one of the figures. He has a full collection of the things. I haven't gotten as bad to collect all the discs yet, but all the figures I do. Infinity 3 looks really cool. Very focused on Star Wars. There's going to be 3 Star Wars levels. So you'll have the Clone Wars, you will have the original trilogy, and then they're doing Rebels as a pack as well. On the PlayStation, they are getting an exclusive thing where you'll get both the Clone Wars and the Star Wars, the original trilogy pack, a month early, and Boba Fett early. So, I mean, cool little pre-package for Sony there. But that was kind of it from Sony, except for this one game at the end. Being developed by Media Molecule, who is, they make the Little Big Planet games, which are platformers, and what stood that apart is, A, aesthetically it's very cool, and B, you could create your own levels. It was kind of the first game to say, hey, console game, I should say, create your own levels is a thing that console gamers will want to do. And so they're coming out with this new game called Dreams, and I don't know if it's a game or if it's but
it looks like an animation tool.
Yeah, I don't know what it actually does. And even the guys on stage said, until you're playing it, you can't understand it. So
it looked beautiful.
It looked beautiful and haunting. And one of the games, I think Morpheus would be really cool to play on. get some VR going in that kind of a game. But it caught my eye, and that's why it made it on my little kind of make sure we talk about it discussion list, because it has an interesting look to it.
Absolutely does.
So that brings us to today when we're recording, which is Tuesday. There were 2 more press conferences. The first was Nintendo's, and Nintendo did what Nintendo did last year, and I kind of like that. They don't actually do a physical press conference like the rest of them. They do a digital press conference, and they have a lot of fun with it. Like they have Muppets of Reggie and Mimo running around doing crazy things. But there were some big game announcements. You got a new Star Fox coming out for the Wii U, which looked really gorgeous. You have the new Yoshi Woolly World, which is a sequel to Yoshi's Yarn, and that's just got a really appealing style. And
I love it. I'm a knitter. Like the entire headquarters is covered in balls of my yarn at the moment. So
they announced 2 Fire Emblem games, and the first one that they were showing, which I'm kind of bummed, is for 3DS because the gameplay graphics aren't nearly as good. But the CG they were showing was this CG anime. And CG anime always kind of looks a little bit off. This didn't. This looked like straight an anime that just happened to be 3D, and it was gorgeous.
Well, we're getting to the point with the machines where we can do this now.
And then they announced they were showing the trailer for this game, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. It was some kind of rhythm game, and they had swords, and at the end they just show this logo all in Japanese. They don't say what it is.
No
but
clue.
In there's this FE, and then it kind of hits me. Oh wait, it's a Fire Emblem game, being made by Atlas, who makes the Persona games, which are some of my favorite RPGs. And I'm just like, but I didn't know what it was, and I could have used some guidance, Nintendo, on what you were showing me there.
Yeah, there was a lot of Japanese in that press conference.
Yeah. And then Mario Tennis for the Wii U, which is awesome. I love Mario Tennis. So, we could swing Wii remotes around and hit each other in the face all night.
We are always so drunk when we're doing Wii nights that's just not a good idea.
Oh, that's going to be a great idea. Marathon Monday, Mario Tennis. Good times.
God, I'm going to be naked by noon.
The last game that they really showed a lot, and they announced this last year, but they're really kind of revving up, is the Mario Maker. And that looks really cool. You get to make your own Mario levels, and it's real simple. But you can do a lot with it at the same time, so that was cool.
And a lot of it looks, like the old school platformer stuff, and I told him, I was like, if this had existed when I was younger, my brother and I would have tortured each other with it,
So I mean, Nintendo does what Nintendo always does. It gives you their franchises, and it just spreads the love that is Nintendo.
Yeah.
They hinted that the new system is going to be talked about next year, and I'm kind of glad they didn't talk about the new system yet. So.
Well, I mean, it gives them time to give us something to talk about.
The one strange omission was the new Zelda game.
Yeah.
The open world Zelda was not present. They showed off a 3DS. In fact, they showed a lot of 3DS at this conference. But the Zelda one didn't even get a nod, which was just weird because they announced that last year. So, figure there'd be something. But maybe it's just taking more time, which I'm okay with. Take your time. Make a good game. And so the last one that we watched right before we started filming this was the Square Enix, which looked like it was filmed at the Hotel Marriott. It did not appear to have a large budget for their press conference, and it looked like something back when I worked for GameStop. We had these manager conventions once a year, and it looked like one of the rooms we would be shoved into to talk about their games.
It honestly looked like Square Enix was still of the mindset that the gamers go with the porn in the side tent.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
That really bothered me.
Yeah,
actually,
it had a weird low budget, which is weird because they had some great games to show off.
Yeah.
I mean, Square Enix, since they've purchased several other companies, Square Enix used to be, okay, we're going to talk about Final Fantasy, and that's all you got from Square Enix. But now they own Just Cause and Tomb Raider and Hitman, so they've got stuff to talk about. And go get yourself.
Tomb Raider even looked pretty good, but the press conference just wigged me out and set me off, man.
Get yourself a better room. That being said, again, there were games worth talking about there, and Just Cause is coming out. I've never been a huge fan of the Just Cause series, but it's Grand Theft Auto that lets you go a little bit nutser with stunts and parachutes and things like that. So that looked solid. And then they teased, here comes Kingdom Hearts, and then what they were showing actually was a game called Kingdom Hearts Unchained, which is going to be for smartphones. But it's Kingdom Hearts, so odds are I'm going to play it because it's Kingdom Hearts, and I'm a little bit little bit on that side.
Yeah.
And then they showed Kingdom Hearts 3, and I was happy. It looks so good. They showed off there's going to be a Rapunzel stage. A lot of the summon or special attacks are like the Main Street Electrical Parade versions of
Yeah.
things, which is, I mean, it's.
I'm a Disney fanatic, so
I grew up 20 minutes from Disneyland, and I had a season pass for a long time. So the Electrical Parade was, I could go see that on a Wednesday night if I wanted to. And
lucky bastard.
I mean, it was great. Like they had the teacups that you spin around, but they were the light version of the teacups, and they looked great. And there was Casey Jr. on the track running around, and for a second there, he's fighting one of the Titans from Hercules, and I'm just thinking, Kratos, you ain't got a light train. Get down with Sora in that light train. And it looks great. I mean, it really does graphically. It looks impressive. It looked like a lot of fun. I'm sure this plot will make zero sense because Kingdom Hearts plots just don't make any sense. But
it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to because it's Square and Disney, and for some reason it works.
It works really well.
And the last game we're going to touch on is one that I hope Tannen, when he gets back, watches the trailer for. And that's the new Hitman. Or Tannen Simulator 2000.
Yeah, pretty much.
It looks crazy. It's going to be open world, and there's going to be assassinations you can only do for a limited time, and then that guy's never coming back again, and you can do them however you want. They showed like 6 ways to kill this one guy.
This is a game I might actually even play. Like,
it looked damn good, and we got the last Hitman for free as part of the PlayStation Plus. It was not very good. This one looks fucking awesome.
Well, sometimes you can start with a subpar product and learn from it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, with game development, that's the cool thing, is that if you start with something that's maybe kind of mediocre, and you listen and you learn and you look at your feedback and you look at what actually works and what doesn't, then why not make a better product?
So that was E3, and there'll be more announcements as the week goes on. Because, Activision didn't have their own show, so you'll see Activision games. In fact, a Transformers game that was teased early on, they got the trailer put out just a couple minutes ago, and it looks okay. It's being produced by Platinum Games, who makes these high-octane action games, but it's Generation 1 Transformers, so it looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
But there'll be more announcements throughout the week, but those were the conferences, and those were what I wanted to cover, so this turned out to be a lot longer than I thought it would be. One of the longest thoughts I think we've ever filmed, and I'm okay with that, quite frankly, because I love E3 so much, because those are my notes, and it's all whitewashed, and you can't see any of it anyway. Oh, there we go. That's how many notes I took of all the games that I need to make sure I talked about, and there are some that I'm sure I'm forgetting. I mean, the Bethesda one, I could have talked about every game they showed at the Bethesda.
I could spend an hour on Bethesda by myself.
So I'm Graham.
And I'm Steph.
And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we will.